Coming up on A SkinDepth Convo.
It's the Peel Appeal. Metaxia and Francine will break down everything you need to know about peels and explain why it's essential for your skin health.
There's so many advantages to our smart peel, so many advantages to what we've learned, and what's really cool. So our peels, our smart peels, are so essential in the back bar. They could do so many different things. And it's not just a peel treatment we're doing multiple things with our smart peels.
This is a show focused on educating and inspiring all those in the skincare and beauty industry. But it is also a show for those looking to improve themselves from the inside out. In each episode, we explore the latest trends, breakthrough technologies, and get expert insights within the dynamic world of skincare and beauty. If you're looking to further your beauty education and nurture your passion, you're in the right place. Renowned experts and hosts Metaxia and Francine aim to educate and inspire through their own experiences and are dedicated to enlightening and empowering enthusiasts and professionals in the realm of skincare and beauty. Join the conversation and the fun with a SkinDepth Convo.
Welcome to A SkinDepth Convo. I'm Anna Kagarakis. Now today we're peeling back the layers, literally and figuratively, as we dive deep into the world of skin peels. Now peels have become a cornerstone in professional skincare, offering transformative results for a variety of skin conditions. But with so many options available, how do you know which one is right for you and your clients? Well, today we're peeling back the layers with our expert hosts, part of the founders of Lyra Clinical, Metaxia and Francine Kagarakis. Now, I know you guys, both you ladies, love this topic. I know it's a big favorite. Let's talk about peels itself first. Like, how did you first, really get into loving peels, and what is it that makes it so special?
I think what happened is Metaxia was introduced in the dermatologist's office, Dr. Bruce Cohen's office first. And she became addicted. At that point, once she became addicted, because I was very, very young at the time, and I didn't need a peel that early in my life, so I didn't really need it. She decided not only to peel herself, but everybody else to understand how to do it even more. And the fun part about it is her passion exploded. We all love peels, but the peel queen, which I call Metaxia because she loves taking it off, actually began with this passion. And what I do have to say is that's what introduced her to aesthetics. And if I remember correctly, this is when peels started beginning actually to get introduced to the aesthetic schools. That's how long ago. I mean, horse and buggy days, where in those days it was using the steamer, doing a wonderful facial. But in the old days, peels were not in the aesthetic schools. And so this was a great opportunity to take the medical side of aesthetics and bring it into the aesthetics schools. And to be honest, Metaxia was one of the first to actually do that at Paris Beauty College. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I actually remember being introduced, in the 70s in Dr. Cohen's office, where a doctor was administering the peel. And I was watching, I don't know, I'm assisting to what, but really just watching him, and was intrigued on the opportunity to actually kind of peel off the skin and the different TCAs and Gessners and salicylics. And it really caught my eye. And like Francine said earlier, it was not in the beauty industry. It wasn't the estheticians. I don't even know if there was a licensed esthetician in California at that time. But it was a concept really literally to burn the skin off. And we were very fortunate at that time to be able to watch them and learn a lot from them. And I was actually blessed to have a mentor that really understood the skin and helped me to practice on my family members. So Francine, my mother, my sisters, I was blessed because you were the candidate.
Yes and no. I don't know,
But
blessed
I
is the right
remember
word.
playing and having him mentoring me through the process of the healing and how many layers. But it was something that was not for an esthetician to do. It was something that was just dispensed by a physician, which was really rare to see a non-physician do this. And it exploded. And we were part of that explosion as far as peels and estheticians and the growth and the acknowledgement of we can do more. We can do more. So we're very blessed.
And the nice part about that is we were part of the transition when the aesthetic schools did not have peels. And then we were actually part of introducing the peels, especially in California, because we go back far enough to be able to say that we did introduce peels in the aesthetic schools.
Let me tell you, when I went to Paris Beauty College, it was the first class for that beauty school to have aesthetics. And I remember going over peels and taking the peels and taking them to the school and practicing with the instructors. I remember practicing with the owner of the school, the instructors in the school. I remember having that opportunity to kind of learn through more practicing on other people. But it became a big part of the aesthetic market, and Paris Beauty College really has done really, really well because of the advancement in the clinical side. I have to say that Barbara, she's no longer here, but I take my hat off to Barbara because she was a sponge and she really continued this. And that school is well known for their peel classes and what they do with the before and afters with their students. And, again, we were very fortunate, like Francine said, to be in an era that we were just pioneers, I would say, introducing something that was new. It's not a steamer type of approach. It was more of a clinical approach. So we had a lot of fun.
It was difficult because when we went to the schools and mentioned the peels, they said, well, we're really not covering it at this time.
Yeah.
And then we kept going. We were persistent and we started introducing it. And I think it was a year later when the My Lady book started covering some of these ideas. And then they started taking off on it. And this is where we were lucky because we hit the floor running once the My Lady book put it into the textbook.
Well, you could see where the passion comes from. You could see the years of history that you've had learning about peels. So you know everything inside and out when it comes to peels. So let's talk about the science and why it's important. So how do peels work and why is it important to peel the skin?
Going into the skin and kind of removing the top layer and trying to get the skin to come back to correct itself. And when it comes back to correct itself, it's refining, it's actually resurfacing the skin in a more youthful type of appearance. But what really changed with the peels is that you don't have to burn the skin off. And that's what the whole idea with the chemical peels. We're literally going in there with an agent and taking and resurfacing the skin. And we've come so much farther with that concept with our peels of today. But it literally was burning off the skin.
And what we find is for you to be able to get better results and bring the skin back to where it was when we were younger, we have to address the way the skin functions. And one of the functions is actually skin exfoliation. The skin turns over approximately every 28 to 30, 31 days every month, let's say. So every 28 days or so, it's going to turn over. But as we age, this process slows down. Now it's not turning over every 28 to 30 days. Now it's turning over every 32 days, every 35 days. The older we get, the less it turns over. So when you actually go in to do a peel, what you're doing is going in there and helping the skin naturally turn over so it brings back its youthful state. And this way, the new cells are coming up. And as they're coming up, we're making sure that we're putting all the nutrients into those new cells to make sure the skin is, again, young, youthful, and healthy. So it's not just taking off, as Metaxia says. And this is the old school where everybody would just get the strongest peel there was and shed and shed. And what we wanted to do is make sure we stimulated collagen so the skin wasn't so sagging. We got rid of fine lines and wrinkles. But today, there's a whole new process. We still can go in there and do the more aggressive peels, and we still do every so often when it's needed. But there's many different layers that we have now been able to see better results because we go in and do what the skin exactly needs and not what we want, but what the skin needs.
Well, what happened was the experience of taking and actually going in and peeling the skin off really was the only way we knew. But through years and years of learning and understanding the science of the skin, what we realized is that we started with peel and then have a healing process of 7 to 14 days, peel, then heal. With our smart peel philosophy, what we realized is that we're not going in just with a modality, what we did is we combined the formulation in a way that when we went into the skin, had access into the skin, we would deliver multiple things so that you're not just kind of exfoliating the skin or shedding the skin. What you're doing is reinforcing the skin. So it became a whole new type of concept. You go in with many additional benefits so that the skin will need to actually build the skin up. We're not targeting anymore the fibroblasts to do only the work. There's many more ingredients that do a lot. So we're actually going in there and building and realigning and plumping up the skin. So our peels of the past are not what we're using or being as popular. The peels of the future is going in with a different intent and is actually causing the skin to be healthier, brighter, fuller, firmer in a way because we are going in with a purpose, which is different than the past.
So let me kind of touch up on the past first. So let's go first kind of in the past. What are the different types of peels that people are aware of? And then from that, let's kind of go into the evolution and seeing how like this technology has changed now, where you're talking about the smart peels and how it's really changed skincare.
The peels that we were in the past were the TCAs, the different percentages of TCAs, the Gessners, and the salicylics. These were the three peels that we used in the medical arena. It was not all the other enzymes that you see now or the AHAs. That all had changed in the beginning of the, I would say, end of the 70s and beginning of the 80s. So we had limitations of what we could do in the skin. It was just for resurfacing, just for acne, and that was it. It was not into this whole new arena.
Well, the nice part about this, Metaxia is right, that's where we began. But the technology is getting better and better, and making sure these formulations are actually delivering exactly what you need is what we're looking for. Customization is very big right now. Not everybody needs the same thing. One size does not fit all. One thing was unique about Lyra is that the peel formulation, what we're dealing with, we were able to actually add in plant stem cell technology. And we were one out of 3 companies in the world that were able to actually stabilize plant stem cell technology in our peels. And this is where Lyra was launched in 2010, was all about getting those peels out. There were 10 at the time, to get them out and have the research and development, see how these peels are working. The plant stem cell technology is so very, very unique that when you're in the skin, you're getting the correction and you're getting actually wound healing at this time. So there's Edelweiss plant stem cells in our peels. There's apple plant stem cells in our peels. And these stem cells go in and help with the repair of the skin as you're doing a peel, because that's how vital it is to make sure we actually go in there, peel, and get out.
And what's really key about that change is that we used to only select lighter skin tones. And so with all this formulation and technology, we could actually peel all Fitzpatrick type from 1 to 6, which was really a big a breakthrough for us because we didn't want to limit it. Everybody has skin, and why are we just treating the lighter skin tones? We all could benefit with these peels and the advantages of what they do into the skin and building collagen and elastin. But it is that breakthrough of the formulation of blending in a way that it is skin friendly and it goes in and it does so much more because you really use peels in a different way now than you did 40 or 50 years ago. Peels are not there to inflame the skin. Like we used to say, we would peel and pray. We would pray that the inflammation would go away after 14 days. We literally would go so aggressively, not knowing all the benefits because we didn't have the advantages with all these formulations. But I think Lyra's fame is really understanding peels are essential and there's many different types and you could use them for not just for correction, for maintenance, but actually prevention. And that is something that we weren't talking about 40, 50 years. In fact, it's almost 50 years. 50. Almost 50 years. Oh my God.
All right, enough with your years. What the key part is, what we have to remind it, I have more melanin than Metaxia, and I'm a little darker than Metaxia. But Metaxia didn't need to practice, so I was a willing participant. It's not like I wasn't. I fell in love with the peels with her. At that point,
You were one of many guinea pigs.
I did, but yes, I was the guinea pig, see how we could say. Up and down California, there were many people that we actually were dealing with peels. But the nice part about it is we did learn a lot. And knowing how to peel on darker Fitzpatrick made a big difference. So as Metaxia is saying, as Lyra came out, and the reason why we realized this is because global skin is bigger and bigger. There's more melanin in the skin, and we do need to have correction. And one of the main things we need as you're doing a peel is manage melanin. So this is where there's a whole system involved where we use melanin management through using hexoresorcinol, using tranexamic acid. We use these particular ingredients so we can manage melanin before we go in and do the peels. So this becomes very important. So the darker Fitzpatricks especially will be on it a little longer than the lighter Fitzpatricks. And so this is where we're able to get the results that we're getting right now, is because we are able to actually put them on a system prior to getting the peel. And when we go in with the peel, we get less problems, less hyperpigmentation and other issues, because the skin is now on the system and is able to correct itself.
And that's a transition, Anna. That's truly a transition, because Lyra, when you use the Lyra products, you are treatment ready. And that's key, because we used to not understand the prepping that was involved for peels. We didn't understand the post part of the healing with peels. In the beginning, we just literally would put on a glycolic when they first came out, and would literally have somebody walk away without enforcing sun protection, without enforcing the prepping. We were learning, the doctors were learning at that moment. And I have to say, I would get in, but experiencing Fran's skin and understanding the sensitivities of melanin helped me understand there was a balance. So for us, people listening to the podcast, we've learned, this industry has learned a lot on how we could extend our services to all Fitzpatrick from all what we've learned on how the skin has to be conditioned. Like she says, the melanin response is also a big factor when you do these peels, and understanding that you need the skin to be conditioned, and these peels are not just fixing a problem, but conditioning the skin to be in motion. And that's where it's, we've learned a lot. That's all I can say. We learned a lot.
And we still continue to learn, because we were just speaking with somebody from China, and we were talking about hyperpigmentation, and we were talking about using tranexamic acid in our products. And what she was telling me is that in Japan, they're taking tranexamic acid because it's also a medication, and they're taking it orally and they're applying it topically. So this is where all the research is showing right now. I'm not advising people to do that. I'm just telling you what I heard. And so this is what they're doing all around the world, because hyperpigmentation is something that a lot of people suffer from, and that we need to make sure that we manage melanin before we go in and do the peels.
And we're changing, Anna. What's happening is that when you say peels, people are afraid of them. And this industry is actually opening up many different doors. And people are not afraid to do these peels anymore, because they understand the science behind it. So, Francine's talking to a lot of their international distributors. And when they say peels, they kind of wait a minute. I'm kind of nervous about it. But when you really understand the formulations and understand what we do with our formulations, they're really more open to it. And our international market is doing fantastic with our smart peels. Fantastic.
Well, so let's kind of talk about, I know that's the kind of the fear that people have. Like, I always thought growing up that it was, usually it was somebody with acne who would get a peel to kind of heal the skin, to peel and heal, basically. So what are the different skin types? Let's kind of break down, like, what are the different skin types and conditions that you might be trying to address with different peels, and what's best for each. Like, you have acneic skin, you have oily skin, dry skin, combo skin, skin with rosacea. I mean, how would you, like, if you're a skincare professional, how do you assess each? And then how would you break it down what's best for each?
I think the first thing to understand is that peels can address a concern, a condition. They can. And you pick the right modality to go in. And for example, acne, salicylic is one of the agents we could go in with. But each condition needs something, and it wants something. So you, as a esthetician or clinician, you need to go on and see what ingredients will actually help what the skin needs. Our lactic peels are really good for pigment, but there's a combination of things along with the lactic that will help the pigment relax and kind of fade away. We don't get rid of melanocytes. We actually relax them and put them on the basal layer. With dull skin, for example, you really want to get the skin kind of responding, because the skin just doesn't have that movement that is really necessary. Prevention, we talked earlier about prevention. Prevention is really just stimulating the skin in a way to kind of excite it. It's like when you push your refresh on your computer, it just brings that energy back. So prevention with peels, Pigment are fantastic. Dull skin, rosacea, even rosacea. There's treatments out there to actually help the skin move in a positive, corrective manner.
And a lot of times, what happens, the professional goes in and they have to cleanse the skin, do a skin analysis, see how the skin reacts to products. Some skin is a little more sensitive, other skin is a little tough. As Metaxia said, dull skin, thicker skin that you need a lot to do a lot more to bring it back to where it needs to be. So you have to do a full skin analysis and see at this point how product works with them. What you have to do is actually begin with a hybrid peel. See how they react with the hybrid peel and know where to go. There's traditional ways that we learned, like lactic peel was for hyperpigmentation and glycolic peels were for anti-age. The unique part about this is smart peels are for all skin types. And as Metaxia said, rosacea, the Vitabright actually helps with rosacea. But if somebody's having a full flare-up with rosacea, you don't peel them. What you have to do is build their skin back up so then you can do a Vitabright. You don't just take somebody and just put a Vitabright on them. You have to make sure they can tolerate it, they're not inflamed at the time. Build the skin up so you can do correction, because you don't want to peel someone that there's the barrier is not functioning correctly. You have to make sure their barrier is intact enough so you can go in, do a peel, and get the correction that is needed.
So when should somebody actually start doing peels? Like, is there like a certain age? Is there, when's the right time to start doing peels?
Up to the age of 25, our skin turns over every 28 days normally. Okay.
I'm going to disagree with you. I think that the younger generations are really in tune to what's going on out there. 25 is a mark of slowing down. But jumping in, and I'm sorry to jump in, Fran, is really, I think, even teenagers understanding that the skin needs to be properly cleansed. And it could be a hybrid, like Francine says, but understanding that the skin has its needs. And we need to be able, like as you brush your teeth every day, we need to be able to cleanse our skin, our faces every day.
Yeah, but I wouldn't do a 19-year-old peel. I would actually, only unless they had acne. You can do a hybrid, but you don't consider that quite a peel. A hybrid is a peel, but at that point at 19, they're turning over. But there is introduction to getting treatments. I think that's where we could agree that they need to start coming in because they need to use sunscreen, antioxidants, anti-inflammatories. They need to start treating the skin earlier in their life. Like in Europe, they treat it earlier. So I agree with you there. You start earlier going in to introduce getting treatments. But peels themselves are little when you get a little older. I don't want to start peeling people at 19.
I said hybrid peels. Here we go. Because we're talking two different ways.
True, but not peel peels.
I was going to say again, hybrid peels are using our peels with a modified version of them. And when they're coming in, you could actually introduce them to a little bit more of not a facial, but a little bit more to kind of get their skin energized in a way and really kind of have the opportunity to talk to them. I wouldn't do a TCA. I wouldn't do a Gessner. I wouldn't do a glycolic on 19-year-olds. But I'll be honest with you, the younger they understand that the proper taking care of your skin is really important. And Lyra Smart
and that's what I said. You hit it right on. When you're younger and you come in.
Peels
yes.
are designed to be able to be hybrided in a way that, yes, you could be in your teens coming in and really getting a good treatment.
And you can get those without a Lyra peel because we do have Lyra treatments that you could do it without the peel also. But the key is when you're 25, you do need to start thinking about it, because at this point you should be seeing a change in your skin and everything. These are people that need to plan ahead, and this is the preventative section, and the peels are part of the preventative part of skincare. At 25, I would say there's at least a gauge there.
Let me ask you a question. Something I was just thinking of. I remember in high school, I would go to a friend's house for a sleepover, and we'd get those little, this is way back in the day. So it was like one of those little over-the-counter things where you put it on your face and you sit there and then you'd like peel it off like that. What were those considered?
Masks. Those are peel-off masks.
Not like a real peel, obviously, but I was just thinking how that's kind of
actually, a lot of times they'll put a couple of percentage of maybe glycolic or lactic, and they'll say it's a peel, but it's not a high percentage. But they did put some acid in there so they could market it that way.
I'm going back to teenagers again. If a person has acne, that would be
Pull you, don't get over it, man. Just get in there.
If a person has acne,
get in there.
because
yeah.
but again, we disagree, which is great. I think that again, we understand that and I think the American market is definitely catching aboard. The European market, international market was more focused on the younger people coming in. And we learned that from our research. And we learned a lot from the international market, but understanding that healthy skin starts as soon as we can accept the fact that we need to protect it with an SPF, wearing daily sunscreen. That's number one. And really having the idea that there is nothing wrong going into your esthetician and having a good, treatment to keep the skin really energized. Peels are not just the peels of the past where you have to have a treatment or a peel. There's so many advantages to our smart peel, so many advantages to what we've learned, and what's really cool. So our peels, our smart peels, are so essential in the back bar. They could do so many different things. And it's not just a peel treatment we're doing. We're doing multiple things with our smart peels.
But you have to explain that there's a lot of other lines and other people that you don't tell a 19-year-old to go get a peel. There's a difference. A smart peel going in and just taking care of the skin is one thing. But forget Lyra for a moment. You don't send a 19-year-old with nice, healthy skin in for a regular peel in another line. You don't do that. But for Lyra, there is a smart peel system that you can fit somebody in. So I think that's one of the key things that I'd like to just bring up, because there is that system in place where you're going to be able to take care of the skin in a positive way, not just peel them the traditional way.
And see, this is the difference, because when you're saying peels, enzymes are considered peels. And these enzyme treatments out there that are very superficial are considered peels. So what's important to take from this segment is that not all peels are created equal. Not all manufacturers are doing the same treatments. So just because you say the word peel doesn't mean that you're going to get a very lightheaded or
I would have put the enzyme peel, what I remember. The enzyme peel is under the exfoliate process. I don't think they call it a peel. I think they call it the exfoliant process, where you exfoliate in a protocol. But I don't think there's now AHA is under enzymes, but there's papaya and pineapple. I would not call that a peel. And I want to clarify that. The AHAs fall under enzymatic, I get that. But papaya and pineapple, enzyme masks are not
Well, you said
peels.
the manufacturers out there have many different peels under their peel flagships. Like I said, be really careful that you understand what peels, because peels are not created equal.
100%. All right, so let's kind of start talking about like the process of preparing for a peel. So how should you prepare your skin before you go in and have a peel?
That's the conditioning. And this is where, once you do a skin analysis, you will be able to see what the skin needs at that point. You're going to find out if they're oily, or if they have hyperpigmentation, or if they're dehydrated. Then you would do the proper hybrid treatment at that point and see how the skin reacts. And then at that point, you will see which peel would probably be the best one to go ahead and prepare them for. Send them home with certain products, along with Pro Light or Pro Bright, to manage their melanin. And then they come in 2 to 4 weeks later for a peel.
I think for me, starting off, if you're not prepared, by going into a licensed esthetician and understanding that you're going to be assessed, like Francine said, you have a consultation. By applying certain ingredients on the skin, you'll see a response. And this is where, again, the hybrids are really a benefit. We don't recommend doing a peel treatment on someone that haven't been conditioned, never really been to you before. So you could actually advance a facial so that you could really see the skin response and do the proper home care and home treatment and assessment and get them going. It's not something that you jump in and get a treatment because you're getting a treatment. You really have to assess where this journey is going to be. And this skincare is not just a treatment. It's a treatment plus a home treatment plus a home care. It's a journey. And in all of this, we've learned that it's not a one visit. It's something that you're going to do, like when you go and brush your teeth every day. It is a journey, and it's part of our wellness is to keep our skin healthy as we keep our teeth healthy. You wash your hair. These are functions that we are now putting in our wellness, total wellness, and skincare is part of your total wellness.
The thing is, there's a lot of people who are already getting different peels. So getting introduced to a smart peel, they may feel that they already know the procedure. The key is that the professional will be able to guide them. You have to know that professional knows where to go. And sometimes some people come in and they're over processed. That means they've over exfoliated and their skin actually needs to be rebuilt. So they don't need a peel. They need to be rebuilt. They need to put that hydration and to put that elasticity back into their skin. So it's not always about taking off. It's about putting back in to make sure the skin is healthy and knowing at that point, okay, once the skin is healthy at this, then we can gradually go back into the peels to keep preventative and maintain all the correction.
And for me, I think this is such a broad topic. We say peels. I really recommend someone to get a Vitabright before a vacation because it realigns the skin, it hydrates the skin, and makes the skin energized and healthy and balanced. And then you go on your vacation and then you come back and you do another Vitabright. And that's considered on our smart peel spectrum here we have. So the word peels, like Francine's trying to say, peels of more of the aggressive peels, there's so many different modalities that we have to offer. And they're, again, the right modality on the right time, on the right person, with the right skin response is really important. The skin has a way to communicate. And what's really cool about it is when you do something to the skin, you'll get some kind of bounce back. And each treatment should give you a correction or a brightness or a glow. And that's what we're looking for. So yeah, peels are not like we're saying peels are peels. They're a lot more sophisticated and they're a lot more diverse in what we do on our back bars.
One thing you said, which is important at this point, you go in and you get a peel. You're going to have results that day. You need to have it plumped up and you need the skin to be brighter and clearer. I mean, you're going to see the skin changes. The problem we have is people don't understand that you have to go home and continue the treatment. So you're going to take product home and keep that turnover happening. You're going to go ahead and you're going to use melanin management. You're going to put in the nutrients that are needed. You're going to make sure the skin is supple. You're going to protect with SPF. What happens if you don't continue the process at home? The skin goes back to where it was before. And this is where you get results. When you go jumpstart it in clinic and then take product home and continue the treatment, continue so the skin can get the results that you want, and then go back into clinic, maintain or do even more treatments that you're going to need, and then go home again, do more treatments. You know, you're doing home care and you're doing home treatments, then you get results. If you only count on doing a peel once or twice a year and you're not doing any home care, that's not going to happen. That is the old way that we used to do one big peel and stop. It is ongoing and it's progressing a little more every day and maintaining all the results you're getting, not only in clinic, but every day at home.
So let me ask you a question, kind of following up. When you talk about the home care, the realignment of good home care, like what's your advice to people? Like what should they be doing exactly? Like, should I, when I think one of the first things that I think of is doing pro pads. Like how often should I be doing that? Like what are things I need to do at home to really keep my skin conditioned?
Pro pads are mini peels. The pro pads are actually a peel, a peptide, and a probiotic. It's all in one. So not only is it giving you a mini peel for home to maintain everything that we did in clinic, there's peptide technology in there, and there's probiotics to balance the microbiome. And at this point, this is where you're seeing the skin changing because you're turning it over and you're adding nutrients and you are balancing the barrier at the same time. So this is where that's one home treatment. Then you're adding in retinaldehyde with hydroxysomes, and you're really getting in there, adding calcium, plumping up the skin, making sure the skin is healthy. And that's on a daily basis. And this is where you're going to see a lot of different results and faster results.
To add to that, Anna, it really even starts with the cleansers too. Picking the right cleanser, what the skin will respond and release. Some cleansers are milky cleansers, some are more exfoliating cleansers. Understanding that the esthetician is really important to be the coach and understand during the week what they need and how many times a week. Pro pads is really good. Sometimes people use them too much and they don't understand it, but it's important that the coach, which is your esthetician or your clinician, is part of your treatment plan at home. As much as they are doing your treatment in their clinic, they need to be able to coach you. So you can adjust to once or twice a week. You can adjust to rotate a certain mask. Like Francine says, you want to be able to keep that motion and that correction as long as you can. But the skin will have a way to respond. And if you have a good communication, a good esthetician, she will follow you through this journey. So you will be able to see, like she says, the immediate results and maintain it. But you do need a coach. And that, these products that you get online are great. Some of them are fantastic, but there is no rhyme and reason to how to use them and how often to use them. And you do need that in-clinic visit. You do need that guidance. And that's what makes our industries great and how we have clinical results from what we do.
Right. It's she or he
Yeah.
would be able, because
Yeah.
there's more men now in
So true.
aesthetics, and it's growing every day because there's a lot of men now taking care of their skin. So it's not just
Thank
women,
you.
it's men. And not only are there male estheticians, but there's more male clientele. They're going into the med spas, they're going into the clinics every day because they want that youthful look also. And why shouldn't they have it? And sunscreen, sunscreen, and sunscreen. I cannot say it more than anything else. We need anti-inflammatories and antioxidants in a sunscreen. So you are constantly making sure that you bring inflammation down, you deal with free radical damage, and you protect for UVA, UVB. You're dealing with blue light, HEV, and you're also dealing with environmental issues. So it's so very important to use the right sunscreen that does what it needs to do to protect and maintain all the correction.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for mentioning the men in the industry, because it's amazing what they're doing and bringing to them energy. So I correct myself. It's the he and the she, and it is fantastic. Their industry is growing in so many different ways.
Yeah, it absolutely is. And we've seen, and you can actually listen back to some of our previous episodes where we've had some wonderful men who have joined us and talked
Excellent.
about their roles in the aesthetic industry. But Metaxia, because something else I want to kind of follow up on, you had talked about, like, before you leave for a vacation, doing a VitaBright. That's a great peel before. Is there a peel season when it comes to like the best times to peel? Is there like a good peel season?
We used to have peel seasons and we've changed them, but the truth is that when it's hot, we don't want more of the correction, because the heat is a factor in the actual treatment and the post care of it. So for me, the peel season of choice is really the fall, because the weather has changed. You've been exposed to the summer elements. So it's a time to kind of get your skin kind of corrected, whatever has happened during the summer, and really kind of prime your skin for the holidays. And that would be I would see the most times that people are starting to do the treatments. But I think we need to understand that the seasons do also cause the skin to change. And we have to understand that summer exposure will maybe need a little bit more of the treatments and more treatments at home to bring it back to, where it was prior to the summer. But you could use any of our smart peels during the year if it's the right one for the right client and the right situation, either hybrided or not. But we are now open to peels all year long.
And the key as a professional does need to have them come in every 4 to 6 weeks so we can maintain and change up and make sure we're using the right product. Because if you use the same product over and over and over again, the skin adapts. So this is where it's important to follow your professional and make sure the professional is going to change it up for you, especially every season. Fall, you're going to do something. Winter, you're going to do something, because in the winter, you're usually a little drier. And in January, we have a big thing, because in January, when you go to the grocery stores, and what they do is they show you all the weight loss, because, after eating everything in December, in January, we have to change ourselves. This is, again, where people start going in and they're not only getting ready to do peels, but now they're doing body treatments. So we're going to be doing in January and February, you're going to see people, I know in Europe they do this. They start getting ready for the year starting in January. So this is where we're going to get ready for our face. We're going to get ready for our body. And body peels are going to be the next trend that we're doing. We're very excited that we're going to be talking about a lot of this in the future podcast with new technology with peels. So little sneak peek there, just throwing that in there. But not only are we going to be peeling face, neck and décolleté, arms, legs, body. So peels have now expanded. Not only has the Smart Peel line expanded, but the peel area has expanded.
Oh, I'm excited for that one. I got some work.
Can I, there's a lot of people going to be listening to this podcast. We keep saying hybrid. I think it's a good time to give the definition of a hybrid for people who don't know what a hybrid is. And I think what's important is that our peels are designed peels, or we have a full spectrum of peels. But Lyra introduced the hybrid method, which you take a peel and you modify it with a retail product. So what you're doing is modifying it so you could introduce it not as a peel, but more of an advanced facial. And you have multiple ways to do it with multiple peeling solutions. So it's really neat because you have endless treatments that you could do, and they're safer. They're less of, I would say, corrective, but they do communicate very well with the skin. So our hybrid methods have really become very, very popular. We have our seasonal guides twice a year where we always are introducing some new concepts with our peels. And I think that's really cool. So when we say peels, we also talk about hybrid peels, and hybrids are less aggressive, but they're really modified in a way that they do so many different things.
Well, let's give the history of the hybrid. Lyra began with peels. I mean, the whole idea where the formulations were advanced with the plant stem cell technology. And with that, when a patient or a client first walked in, you cannot do a peel right off the bat. You don't just sit there and start off a patient or a client with a peel. So we had to do something. So Metaxia is right. You have to take that treatment and buffer it a bit so you can introduce some type of treatment to the patient or to the client so we can see how they react. This is where the hybrids were born. And then what happened is they were so successful. We were getting results all the way around. We used it for maintenance. Then we started changing it up a little and we started adding more retail products. We started mixing things together. And then these hybrids became very, very successful all over the world because anybody can do them and you get instant results. So this is where it began, is because we did not have a treatment, because you cannot start on a new patient or a new client with a peel. You have to have a conditioning treatment. You have to have something prior to at least do a skin analysis and see how they react.
No, and I appreciate you actually defining that for people, because I'm sure there's a lot of people who didn't understand that. So I think that is absolutely wonderful. But let's talk about also when, common reactions. So somebody comes in, they want to get their peel. They're finally there, ready to do it. They've conditioned their skin, all this. So what are common reactions that a client may experience during a peel, and how can they be managed?
Well, for me, it's a change. The skin has a way to communicate. So you get an erythema, or you get a sensation, you get some kind of tingling or some kind of response. That means the skin is giving you something to communicate to you, telling you what's going on. And I think there's a 1 to 10 kind of level that's out there, industry, 1 to 10. When you get more to a 10, you have to be really careful to stop the process and kind of neutralize what's going on. But the skin changes. And if you're really in tune to the skin and how it changes, you'll see that erythema coming up, or that sensation kind of giving you that feeling that something's going on. I would definitely say it would be a sensation that you're looking for.
It's going to be the heat. Yeah. I noticed the heat. And what you're going to see, that's the first thing, is the heat. And the patient or the client would be able at that point to say, oh, wow, I'm feeling something. And this is where it's important for the practitioner to say, okay, from 1 to 10, what level are you at? And the heat is the one thing that we're looking for. Some people love it because they feel something's happening. Other people get nervous. And if I remember correctly, Anna, you get nervous when you get the little bit of the heat because you were traumatized when you were young, when you tried one of the products that we had.
Did you do the peel on her? Did you do the peel on her?
Yes, I did. Yeah. No. It was an AHA product she used when she was playing tennis, and it made her irritated. And from that time,
I had a red nose. Yes. So let me rewind. So what happened was I used the product, and what happened was I was playing tennis, but I ended up getting a red nose. So me in high school, you know how traumatizing it is, especially as a Greek. Yeah, it was way back in the day. So, yes. So that's the thing where I was like, oh my gosh, I look like Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer at school. I'm in high school and I'm traumatized by it. So I get very nervous because I have very sensitive skin. But I do remember we did a pure peel. Did a pure peel on me, and I was like, okay, let's do it. And I'm like, oh, I'm getting a little warm. Is this okay? Is it okay? Am I supposed to feel this? You're like, this is fine. This is fine. And then there is a point that I'm like, okay, is this uncomfortable? And I think that is the important thing that you have to remember, that you want to make sure you tell your client to really have that communication and constantly communicate with each other. And so that way that, the person who's getting the peel done feels comfortable to tell you, like, ooh, am I supposed to feel this? I'm putting my trust in the person who's dealing with the peel.
But we have patients that literally would say, I don't feel anything. Their skin is on fire.
Yeah.
And you say from 1 to
yes,
10 and they
yes,
say,
yes.
oh, it's a 2. And you're seeing the skin kind of saying, help me, help me. The skin is communicating
Too
because
much.
they feel that if they don't say anything, it'll be left on longer, or you'll put more applications on. So you have to be really careful. But you had trauma from your mother, probably giving you. So
Of course, family members
It's
get it the
different.
worst. Yes,
We go a
yes.
little extra with the family, right?
So we could crown your mom too as a peel queen because she's
Yeah.
actually experimenting on her family.
I loved it. I did love it after the
Oh, no,
results
no.
after were great. I will say I did have a couple hot spots, and how you managed it was you put cryo mask after to kind of cool it and everything, right?
She was desperate.
First the barber wrap, I cooled it down. No, I wasn't desperate. No,
Yeah,
no, no.
she
I
knows
know
me.
my daughter. I know she does not like heat on the face because it bothered
You
her from when
traumatized
she
her.
was 15, 16 years old. So what happened is I put the barber wrap, cooled it down
Yeah,
a
you
few
did.
times. Remember, Anna? I put a cool barber wrap first, put it around, I calmed it down, took the heat out, and then I saw that everything was okay.
Yes.
Then I put the cryo mask
right
on.
away.
I didn't put the cryo mask right away because as one thing you have to do is you have to monitor what's going on. You have to ask them what's happening. I was talking to her, making sure there was no hot spots, looking to see if there was a hot spot, and I put cool down the skin twice. And once I knew that it was okay, then I put the cryo mask on. And you can see that even when touching the cryo mask, you can still feel the heat coming out. And it was great because she looked beautiful after that. And she's ready for another one. I think
am.
it's time again. Now the nice part about it is, like the first time we did a pure peel, Metaxia did it on me. And this is where I was choking because I was on the prototypes. We did prototypes, and the prototypes were a free acid. It was a higher strength, and the fumes were horrible. I was crying. We were doing it on our mother, and we were hyperventilating because the fumes were so harsh. Obviously, we changed that prototypes, massively changed that prototype. It's completely different now, and it's much better than it was then. But I do remember at that point thinking, "Oh my God, this is really hot." And Metaxia, what she did, she goes, "What's the problem?" What? And I had erythema and everything, and I go, "It's hot." And first of all, I couldn't handle the fumes. That's what happened. But now the fumes are still there. Anna,
Yeah,
you remember the fumes?
it's like, ooh, I smell it, but I don't think it was very uncomfortable. I never felt uncomfortable with it. Was just it's there.
No.
It's a
Well,
strong smell, but it's not uncomfortable.
I carry the pure peel wherever I go. So I carry
Of
it
course
wherever
she
I
does.
go because I hybrid it and I do all kinds of things, especially with traveling.
See, when I travel, it's Vitabright for me. I love
So what's
Vitabright.
important to understand is that we are sharing our knowledge so that people could see and learn from our mistakes, our growth, our knowledge. And it's really important to understand to share in this industry. So these podcasts and these classes and what we do out there, sharing the real situations, the real things, the stories, because we are trying to elevate them faster to success stories because we really took many years to figure a lot of these things out. And we didn't start off with smart peels. We learned from the basic peels to the peels of the 80s and 90s. And Lyra truly is the peels of the future because of the formulation and the way they work and the way they can be hybrided and the way they can be all seasons and the way they can condition every skin, the way they could prevent, maintain, and correct. I have to say, all these years of experience has helped us to have, I believe, the number one peel line in the whole world and skincare line.
No, I agree with you. What's unique about it is Smart Peel has a lot of
Yes.
versatility. You're able to introduce it as a hybrid, you're able to introduce it straight, and then you could actually advance it into different levels. So the versatility of the Smart Peel allows us to customize to what the client or the patient needs. And that's the key, is to customize it to make sure you're getting the right results, not just following a manual that says, go ahead and do step 1, step 2, step 3, because you have to do a skin analysis as you're doing these treatments to make sure if that's enough or you need to be more aggressive. And this is the key when the practitioner has the knowledge to be able to customize and advance when necessary.
And what she said, Anna, is that we came into this arena very similar to the phone concept because the phones were used just to communicate. They were actually, you were connected to the wall, believe it or not, but the phones were just a communication way. And then they got more advanced where they got more mobile. You had your cell phones. And the phones are really part of our being. You have everything on the phone. You have your music, you have your emails, there's apps. The phone has become so part of our are being. The peels, Lyra peels, smart peels, and they're called smart for that reason, they are so much part of your back bar, and they could create so many different types of treatments. And their smart peels are so versatile that they actually could do so many things. And it's necessary to have the smart peels in your back bar so you can hybrid, you can change a treatment for what that skin needs that day. You can actually create excitement. The skin gets bored doing the same thing over and over and over again. It limits the results. So the fact that the smart peels are so able to do so many things, and that's why we associate a lot of times in our classes to the phone. The phone is a must, so is the smart peels, a must in this industry.
We did not coin it smart
No.
peels right off the bat. It happened later because as the phone accelerated more, because the phones weren't that accelerated in 2010 either, because we were talking
That's right.
14 years ago, right? And at this point, yes, it was yes, we had a flip. What do they call the one for the jig? Anyway, so go back that way for the elderly.
I remember the walkie-talkie Nextel.
Walkie-talkie.
Remember that one? Walkie-talkie.
Pagers.
Oh my gosh, yeah, we're going back pages
It was
now.
the smartphone analogy that made us understand that this had to be trademarked for Lyra, because that's what the Lyra peels are. They're smart peels.
It's fantastic. It's a fantastic analogy to think about how much it's not your basic peel. It's not your basic landline.
No.
It's actually the smartphone, which can do everything. It can run a business. You can go to Instagram and go look at SkinDepth Convo at SkinDepth Convo. Don't forget to follow us there. We have new social media. We'll get into that a little more later. But yeah, you can do everything on your phone. You can do everything with all these peels. So it is absolutely fantastic. Just a couple more questions before we go, because this has been an amazing topic to talk about. And I know we could probably go off for another 2 hours on this, but
Easy,
is there anybody who should not get a peel? Like is there anybody who shouldn't?
I think someone on medication should not be doing any type of peels.
Certain medication,
Well,
not any medication.
thank you for that
certain.
correction. You're right. Because we take
Yes.
medications. A lot of people take medications daily, but there's
Come on,
I know.
peel.
Okay, but I could tell you, antibiotics is a good example. Antibiotics. There's certain medications you need to check. They make the skin more photosensitive to the environment, so that should be concerned. Well, that's when you do a good history. You understand what they have with their medication. That's a good consultation. But I have to tell you, pregnant women, I don't recommend doing any type of correction. I mean, the Vitabright is fantastic, but I wouldn't do any kind of correction because of the pregnancy and the hormone changes. I would definitely say you say no to a peel, like Francine said earlier, on someone that's coming in and wants a quick fix. They really have to evaluate and not just do a peel to do a peel. The skin can tolerate it, all right. If it doesn't, you have to assess it and maybe plan it in the near future. You just don't peel on someone just because they want to peel. There is sometimes that you could say no to it, and that's okay.
But the conveniences of the hybrid really do help us, because it's a conditioning treatment. There are many of them. Number one, there's multiple different hybrid treatments. And the key is to keep the clients and the patients excited about coming in and seeing results, and to also keep the professional, the practitioner, happy and excited to be seeing their clients getting results, and happy to try something new and advance every time they need to.
And one more thing to add to what she said is that, the skin might look intact, but if they've had a laser or a waxing or treatment before, the skin might look good. Getting a good history, because once you apply a treatment, the skin might all of a sudden tell you, wait a minute, it's too much. So the skin has to heal inside too. So be sure to understand what they've been through, what they've been exposed to. A bad sunburn, for example, could actually, put risk to a treatment. That has to be considered. Maybe you need to wait a couple of days because the skin has been exposed. So really understanding what the skin is feeling and understanding it's, where it's been and what treatment has been done is really a benefit to predicting, what the skin's going to do and actually picking the right peel.
But we do have to talk about skin conditions that need peels. Number one, there are skin conditions that peels are the answer, and that's the way you get results. Number one, acne. You have to do peels for acne. You have to get in there and clean out the follicle, and you have to use melanin management so you can make sure to control the pigment as you're dealing with the peel. So acne, you need to do peels.
Anna, watch this. I'm going to get under her skin. Watch this. What age, friend? What age could they get?
Excuse me, if you go back and listen, I said unless they have acne. acne is something you do have to start them young, because that's when acne starts. I did say acne.
I'm going to go check it.
Go back
and
check the tape. Check the tape.
Go back and
No,
listen.
check the tape.
I said
She
check the
didn't,
tape.
but it's okay.
Guys,
You show our age by now by saying
right.
tape.
And
by the
number
way.
2, yeah, that did show. Go back and see what we
the
said
stream.
earlier. That sounds. Go back and see what I said. Go check the stream. Thank you, Anna. The second thing you're going to find out is when you're going in for anti-age, and anti-age is not only fine lines and wrinkles, it usually is discoloration. So there's hyperpigmentation, discoloration, dull skin, as Metaxia said. You have to get in there and do corrections. So peels are huge, and they're the number one thing you need to get results. So who doesn't need a peel? Metaxia just covered that. So what does that mean? You need a peel.
Yeah.
Everybody needs a peel. Most people need a peel.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what it means.
Depends on the time. Like, you're not going to go in to get a treatment and then all of a sudden, or get a peel and then all of a sudden say, I'm going to go for a swim right after I leave here. You're not going to do that, right? Because is there a certain time of day you need to worry about doing a peel?
I think if you have to, before you do a treatment on someone, you have to give them a 24, tell them in 24 hours, we don't want them exercising. We don't want to bring up heat back into their cells. But again, this conversation is where you really kind of time it right. If you're going to go on vacation, you don't do a very deep peel. You do something that's going to build the skin. So there's factors we have to consider, but going out swimming after a treatment is not recommended. And whatever treatment you're doing.
Getting a wax after a treatment, you don't do that.
Yeah.
Nothing aggressive. You need to be you have to remember what you did is a slight wound on the skin. So you have to respect the skin. The whole idea after you do a peel is to put anti-inflammatories and antioxidants and nutrients in the skin right after, with protection. Number one thing. This is why you don't go swimming in chlorine. You don't do any of that. You have to respect what you just had done, take care of it, make sure it's okay, and then you can go ahead and do those active activities.
What I got to add to this is that in the industry, it's known that 20% of the correction is at the clinic and 80% is home care and home treatments. What's really important is that we lose collagen and elastin as we get older. And the fact that these treatments stimulate collagen and elastin, these formulas and these ingredients do so much more. All these ingredients have changed. Technology has taken a whole new angle on this. We have results on, just like what Francine said, on just regular home treatments and home care. But really, that extra 20% is a communicator. When you do treatments in a clinic, it's a communicator, it's a jump start, it's maintenance, it's correction. But you do need that system, which is really important. I think we've learned that it's more than just an in-clinic treatment. It's more sometimes than a home care products. It's the system that's changed, and having a professional understanding your skin and customizing for what your skin needs is the key to all the success that we're finding. Do you agree, Fran?
You need to trust your skincare professional, number one.
Yeah.
You have to go in and you have to trust them. And when they're telling you to buy home care and home treatments, they're not telling you this to buy a cleanser or just sunscreen. What they're telling you is that we have to continue this treatment for home. Then you're going to get results. The key thing we tell all professionals, take a picture when they walk in and take a picture 30 days, 60 days, and 90 days. And once the patient or the client see the difference, they're in. And that's what they want. They want to see the difference. Most people don't remember what we looked like 30 days ago. So this is why it's important for them to be able to see it, see the results, chart it, make sure you're showing them what was done, and then they understand exactly what's happening to their skin to get those results. The key thing to remember in clinic for all professionals, as you're applying a product, make sure the client or the patient understand why you're using it. Because this is the education part, is when you're applying it, not at the end when they're tired. So as you're applying a melanin management Pro Light, Pro Bright, explain why you're putting it on. Show them what the bottle looks like. Explain each step so they understand why you're doing it and understand why they have to also do it at home.
Well, I think we're going to need a peel part 2, because we've gotten into so much on this show, and this is a full class right here. This is a full peel class here. So both of you, thank you so much. And remember, the number one rule, main thing that you could take away, is always wear sunscreen. afterwards. Always put
Always.
sunscreen. Number one rule.
Number one
rule. Number one product to leave with after getting a peel. And remember, if you have any questions for Francine or Metaxia, you can email us at our new email, info@skindepthconvo.com. That's info@skindepthconvo.com. So have any questions for Metaxia and Francine, please send us an email there. We'll answer those questions. Also, really excited to announce we have brand new social media. So give us a follow. So not only we're asking you subscribe to the podcast if you haven't already, because it's wonderful. You can hear it here on Apple Podcasts, Spotify. You can go to YouTube and watch the amazing video. We have a lot of fun on here as well. But you can also go to Instagram and see a little behind the scenes action, some little clips. You can see that there on Instagram at SkinDepthConvo. Gonna be going on TikTok as well. We're gonna see you ladies on there. Maybe get a little dance with you guys.
Exciting.
I'm gonna get you guys to dance. You know that, right? But thank you both so much. I'll get you. Thank you both so much for an amazing show.
I know you're going to catch
I
us
will.
one day.
Don't you worry. I have a lot of things up my sleeve for the future here. So make sure to follow us on all our social media channels. So thank you again so much for joining us. Thank you both
Anna.
for the wealth of knowledge on peels. Have a great one.
This podcast is brought to you by Lyra Clinical and the award-winning Mystique Illuminating Beauty Oil. Mystique Beauty Oil's amazing skin-friendly hydration delivers potent antioxidants and anti-inflammatories with Lyra Clinical's exclusive Mass Tech brightening technology. This luxury oil blend is infused with vitamin C for a clean, dry finish on the skin. Use by itself or add to your favorite hydrator. Beauty oil delivers your glow and go look. Contact your local Lyra retailer for additional information at lyraclinical.com.